I'm enjoying this so far. Is everybody okay so far? Can we get like hands or comments? Can you see the comments, Wendy?
I can, yes.
I should tell you. Oh, hey, Doug. Hey, Teresa. Yeah, this is kind of distracting. I'm sorry, Wendy. There is somebody from France, somebody from New Zealand. Can anybody want to? Oh, Greta is. Greta cooked a bowl of pasta, and she's happy to see Wendy's face.
Woohoo!
Molly Kelly is from England. Hey, Sean. Yeah, this.
Australia.
Yeah. Manchester. Hey, can you go over to Oasis House and punch him in the face for a moment? I love Manchester. I did whatever that event called in Salford on Convention. And then I was also there at SS. Oh, Pete Jones will know. I've been to Manchester a bunch. And then I did Louder Than Words at that hotel. I've forgotten the name of the hotel. It was amazing. Okay. Wendy Day, a true hip hop legend. Okay. And the Queen.
That just means old, Martin. It just means old.
Yeah, I know. So, so it's time to start the second part of today. Wow. Did you see the schedule, Wendy? It's slightly awesome.
Slightly? It's hugely awesome.
Yeah, it's hugely awesome. There is a pig face thread that runs through it, but who cares? Kind of shows how diverse that whole thing is, really. Would you like to introduce yourself to the couple hundred people?
I would love to. I would also like to say that Robert Smith would absolutely kick Morrissey's ass in a fight. Morrissey is just like real laid back and calm, whereas Robert Smith is sort of like, you know what I mean? I think you could take him.
But I would also hold Morrissey's hands behind his back to let Robert Smith punch him, because he's gone all right wing and all horrible.
Has he?
Yeah. Oh, he wore a lapel pin on TV. Like,
no, yeah. I'm not accepting that.
No. There's no time for that. Would you?
Are you ready for me?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
My name is Wendy Day, and I run a bunch of companies, but I'm probably best known for Rap Coalition, which is an advocacy organization for rappers. And what we do is when an artist is in an oppressive or unfair deal, whether it's with a major label or a production company or a manager, we step in and we break that contract, and we do it at no cost to the artist. I've been doing that for 28 years. It's not my favorite thing that I do, but it's so necessary. My favorite thing that I do is educating artists. So I do a lot of webinars. I post a lot of content on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram channel, on my Facebook page. I'm really, really, really proactive about artists understanding how the music business works and how to make money with their music. So those two areas are the not-for-profit side of what I do. I'm in the process of building out a website now that will educate artists hopefully thoroughly, and that should be up by the fall. I'm pretty excited about that. I don't have a name for it yet, so if anybody wants to suggest some names, woohoo, I would love the help. And then I also am a consultant to artists that already have investors on board, and my team and I, we help them make money with their music, and we do it in a hands-on fashion. So that's the for-profit side of what I do. And then I'm in the process of building out an incubator or accelerator, if you want to call it that, for artists that have some funding but don't have enough funding to really do this properly. We're going to bring them into our incubator and accelerator and grow them and teach them how to do this very hands-on. And then once we push them out of the nest, they will retain 100% ownership and 100% of all income, all publishing, all rights are theirs. So I'm really excited about that. And that should be up and running. I'm in the funding portion of that right now. So that should be up and running hopefully by January of 2021.
Wow. And I should let people know, you made me cry.
I did?
Last October.
Did I punch you?
Huh?
Did I punch you?
No,
Oh, good.
well, you punched me in the heart. I was in the car park at the Commons building, Millikan University. And we had this crazy idea to take students on their own bus following the Pigface tour bus. And Pigface in itself, there's 17 people in the band, sometimes 28, 5 drum kits. It's insane. So insane on top of insane was very challenging. And all of these, there's ups and downs in all of these endeavors. And I was having a kind of a bad day where everybody at Millikan was just amazing in pushing away obstacles to help make it happen and be an accredited experience for the students. But I don't know what happened this one day, but I was in the car park, I remember this, and you called me. you were like, well, I was talking to you about Danny Carey from Tool. I said, what have I done? He's coming out. He's going to do some shows. I said, Wendy, as an artist manager, surely you can sympathize with me. What I should have done is invited out drummers who are older than me, in worse shape than me, and then I could come out in a stripy Adidas tracksuit and look young. And he said, what the fuck are you talking about? You need to surround yourself with awesome people, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I want to come on this thing. And I said, well, there's no budget for that, Wendy. And I mean, there just wasn't a budget for it. And you said, I don't fucking care. I'm renting a car. I'm going to follow that bus. I'll get my own hotel.
Going to rent a car.
I'm going to teach those fucking students. And I thought I told you, I fucking cried after that call because I think I describe lots of this as turning around on stage and falling backwards into the audience. Right. And when the hands come out to catch you, it's just, that's the whole thing for me. That is the whole thing. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. You know what my fondest memory of that tour is? And by the way, it's the greatest thing that I've ever done in 28 years of music business. It's the most effective thing I've ever done, and it was the greatest experience. I think I wrote an article about it even afterwards because it was that amazing, and I want you to be able to use that article to be able to go get some funding. But my greatest memory, and you probably won't even remember this, I was watching you drum, and I joined like 7 days in or 8 days in, and I watched you drumming. And when you drum, you don't just drum, like you give it everything. You give it like 110% of you. And I saw during the day that your arms were sore. I saw the blisters. I saw the pain. I saw you struggling. And when we were in Dallas, we happened to pull into a parking lot across from a CBD store. And my fondest memory of that tour is I went to the CBD store knowing that you may or may not have some substance abuse issues in the past, and learned everything I needed to know about CBD within 30 minutes from this guy that owned the store. And I came back and handed you a bottle of oil and said, here, put this on your arms, because I knew it would help with the inflammation and the pain so that you could keep giving it 110%.
Well, thank you. Of course, I remember that. And once again, there's those two things. There's a bottle of stuff that you gave me, but there's a heart full of stuff that you gave me. And I'm the music business guy, and I'm talking more about heart and love and empathy. But if I was purely a business guy, I'd be advocating for that stuff anyway, because it's the only stuff that moves anything.
Right.
So and if you just want to be, yeah. So thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for letting me be part of something that was just so fucking amazing.
Did you know that I stole the letters from the marquee?
I do know you did. And if you hadn't, I would have.
Yeah, and you can see behind me. I stole. Those are the letters from a Washington Mutual Bank sign. Behind.
I love it. I love it.
Not possible to steal from a bank. Don't quote me on that. So, this is I'm loving this. First things first. How has this lockdown, the virus, this time, how has that affected your business specifically, but also the business that you're in? How you're in Atlanta, yes. Right? How are you seeing things there, and how are you seeing the nuts and bolts of the business there? How are people dealing with it?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna answer them in the order that you asked them, and I'll preface this by saying that I work in rap and pop, mostly in rap. So I'm going to speak towards the rap side of it, okay. Right? I hate that people are dying, but I love this. I've been in my house now for 8 weeks straight. I'm an introvert, so it's been heaven for me. It has forced me to stop taking meetings in person, which are very time consuming. It's enabled me to use Zoom, which we're all using today, which is a wonderful platform. I can do meetings now instead of only being able to do 8 meetings a day or 10 meetings a day. I can do 20 or 30, which is really kind of amazing. Not that I'm bragging about that, because that's just insane, but I've accomplished so much for my clients and for my business and myself personally. And you can probably relate to this, you meaning everybody that's watching this. We tend to focus on putting out fires all day, every day. So we don't really ever get to do our to-do list of stuff around the house or things to make our own businesses better. And I've had the opportunity to do that for 8 weeks, and it's just amazing. I was also invited to write a column at Forbes magazine. So I'm going to be writing for Forbes.com, which is super amazing because it's a magazine that I read and love.
Wow.
So wow. I'm so excited. But I've really loved the whole shelter in place thing. It's really worked for me amazingly. I'm even learning to speak Spanish because I've got some time. So I'm hugely grateful for it. I can't say how it's affecting Atlanta as a whole, because around day 4, I stopped watching the news. It was stressing me out and really scaring the hell out of me. I also caught coronavirus very early on. It was a very, very mild case of it. I had no symptoms other than a bad cough that took me 5 weeks to get rid of. But when I started to get corona, and this was in March, this was in mid-March, when I started to get it, I had just heard that 2 friends had died from corona. And in my 50s, and I'm overweight. So I am the person who's very susceptible to passing away. And it scared me because, in my life, I've gone through some really amazing stuff and survived. And to be taken out by a virus would just be unacceptable to me. It would be embarrassing, and it would be completely backwards of how I live my life. So I started to become very healthy. I fought it naturally because there is no way to really, to really cure the virus. But once once it scared me that badly, I tuned out all of the negativity, and I started doing a 30-day challenge on my Instagram page that I followed along with all my followers. And it was just all positive stuff. And every day we did something new to help ourselves professionally and personally. And that became my focus. You probably know that Georgia opened back up Friday a week ago. And for me, it's too soon. I still haven't left the house. I just don't feel like the virus has died down enough. It hasn't even plateaued here yet. So I just feel like it's a little too soon. So I'm going to continue with my shelter in place at least till the end of this month, possibly longer. But the great thing that I can say about this, even though I know a lot of artists can't tour and can't make money, my clients have all pivoted so that they're making money through their merchandise. They're doing live shows online. They've all kind of pivoted to making money other than through live shows, which is where most new artists start to make their money first. So I'm really proud of them. Like, they're all doing well. Even the guys that were struggling a little bit pre-COVID are doing well now, because the fans have all, or I should say the rap fans have all gone to social media and the internet. So they're able to reach them through Facebook ads and Google ads better than ever, YouTube ads better than ever. So I'm pretty excited by that.
Anybody, are you seeing, God, this sounds like it should be a t-shirt. I was thinking yesterday with I don't know if you saw the bags that we're doing where you can pay what
Yes.
you want for this bag. It felt to me like a Nipsey moment. I was thinking yesterday, like, what would Nipsey do? You know, do you see people going the extra mile, or do you see people just failing at it?
I see people pivoting like positively. And, for those watching that are looking for direction right now, I have always preached to do a large portion of work online and then still go out into the real world and market and promote, like, to people. And because we can't really do that right now, we're not quite at that point. I'm just explaining to artists that the best thing you can do right now is run digital ads. So, either learn how to run Google ads and Facebook ads and YouTube ads, and influencer marketing through Instagram and influencer marketing through TikTok is a really great way to reach new people. And go live as much as you can, not just to perform, but to really give people a sense of who you are. Because when you go into the real world and you market and promote, that's what is beneficial. It's not just the being able to touch somebody physically, but it's them being able to see who you are and what you think and how you feel. Sort of like what you and I just did, where you asked me, hey, Wendy, what do you think of the COVID pandemic and how it's affecting you? Everybody watching this got a really good feel of how I feel about it and what I think. And there are people that will have some emotion sparked by that. Either they'll really hate what I just said, or they'll relate to it because it's like, oh shit, she got to get some of her stuff done around the house on her to-do list. So did I. Yeah, that's right. And it gives a contact point, not a physical contact point, but a point of understanding and similarity, and emotion and passion to your fans, and where people can see the similarities between you and them. And I think that that's so important when you're talking about who you are. I think that behind the scenes content, especially in rap, is so important. We want to know who You know, who are we listening to? It's almost as important as the music. We want to know, like, what does this person think? What are their belief systems? And it comes back to what you and I were talking about in the beginning, you know, comparing Morrissey to Robert Smith, where you said, yeah, somehow Morrissey got real right wing and went, you know, off the deep end. You know, fans care about that stuff. They care about, you know, what are Jay-Z's political views, but they also care, you know, what is new artist XYZ? What are their political views? What do they stand for? What are they thinking? What's their life? You know, how did they come up? Where did they go to school? What are their parents like? Do they have parents? And people really want to hear the stories. And the great thing about the internet and right now is people have time to listen to the stories, and they want to hear the stories. They want that escape to be able to focus on something other than what's going on in their immediate surroundings.
I think it almost feels to me like artists who've been doing stuff have almost an unfair advantage. It's one of the reasons I love teaching music business, because I don't know if there's any students on here or parents of students, but I'm not teaching music business so that you can go and be an A&R person, which may or may not exist anymore, with an expense account, which absolutely doesn't exist anymore, in Los Angeles, and sign bands. I teach music business because if you're doing stuff, you learn how to pivot. And it's like, if you're touring, the wheels exploded, the club doesn't exist, it's not all ages, you've got diarrhea, there's no sound system. It's like, okay, how are we going to make this work? And I found myself just going to my toolkit of looking for the silver lining is kind of a hallmark way of putting it, but just making sure that something keeps happening is a more practical way of looking at it. And I know that some people are like, oh my goodness, this is this calamitous situation. I'm like, oh, for me, it's a Tuesday. You know, it's just like, what
It's a
are we going to
Saturday.
do?
Yes.
What's the silver lining? And just like you, I've spent a crazy amount of time working on my next book, which I would never have spent the time. I would have banged it out from the back of the Pigface tour bus.
In between stops, exactly.
And it would have just been, it wouldn't have been what it could be. So
can I share something with you that I've learned? Like I learned this in life. I didn't learn this from being trapped in my house. But one of the people that I've learned from, his name is Jack Canfield, and he wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And, you know, he reminds me so much of you because he's so positive, and he's just always like working and coming up with these great ideas of how to, you know, get more people involved, not because he's trying to make money and sell something, but because he's got a message to deliver and he just wants people on board with that message. And I asked him one day, I'm like, you know, how did Chicken Soup for the Soul become so successful? You know, because it became its own franchise and it made billions of dollars. And he thought about it for a minute and he said, you know, Wendy, it's because we did something every day to succeed. He's like, there was not one day, like we didn't take off weekends, we didn't take off evenings. Like every day we did one thing, at least one thing, to move the product forward. And I love that because I took from that and I'm like, okay, every day I'm going to do at least one thing. And there's some days where I'll do 50 things, you know, but every day I do at least one thing to move the brand forward and to help people get to where they need to be. And I think that that is so important as an artist. If you're going to have a career in music, you've got to do at least one thing every day, not musically, but to market and promote yourself so that you can share your great music. And the music has to be great, but to share your great music with the world.
Right. And that, but that, the music being great thing, that's something that I, frankly, struggle with a little bit at Millikan University. It's a school of music that that students are taught. You keep practicing, and you'll get better, and things will get better. And I think it's my role there to be like,
But,
yeah, but
but,
if you bought a van, if you bought your own van, you might get that job as a bass player over a better bass player because you've got a van.
that's a good point.
You know, so but the music can't be shit.
Agreed. And it's subjective. So like what you and I might think is good music, there might be 20,000 fans that think that's good music. And we have to go with the popular response if your goal is to make money doing this. It's not like there's 5 graduates of Juilliard sitting on a panel somewhere saying you're good and you're not. It's really the fans that decide. And that was actually one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, because when I started this, I really only wanted to work with artists that I thought were great. I didn't really want to work with artists whose music I didn't understand. But I've learned that it's the fans who decide, not me. And the fans get to weigh in and say, I like this or I don't like that. And as an artist, when I say you're making great music, I guess I should probably preface that by saying you're making marketable music. You're making music that your fans will think is great, not necessarily your peers.
But it's interesting because I like to work with people who fuel me, and there's a bunch of people. There's a guy called Moldovar, Moldovar. He put out an album, I want to say 8 years ago. The song titles are written in electronic circuitry on the back of a circuit board that fits inside a CD case.
Oh, wow.
But wait. I guess he thought, well, if I'm going to do this, there's a light sensitive theremin built in to this album. And I've taken that thing all over the world. I think it was $50 a piece, and I bought 3 copies of it. It keeps selling out. I've taken it all over the world. I've still never heard his music. I don't care. I just don't care. I think the guy's a genius. And, so I hope that the music's good. Yeah.
I'm guessing from all the comments that I'm seeing, and I suck at like talking and reading at the same time, so forgive me. But I'm guessing from the comments that I'm seeing while you were talking that he is pretty amazing, because that's what most people are saying. So that's a good sign.
So what I'll do at the end of I've got his CD in the other room. I'll grab it and show you. It's stunning. There are a bunch of questions, Wendy.
Fire away. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. I'm just going to go through them. Please. If it's bullshit, say bullshit pass next. What are ways you can pay videographers on your label or your team when it comes to official video views?
First of all, you shouldn't buy views. It's not conducive to building a successful career. You've actually got to put the videos out and then spend the money on marketing and promoting the videos to get real views, because the people that are, and ditto for your social media, because the people that are following you are the ones that you're going to depend upon to buy your merch and stream your music. And once this thing goes live again, where we can go out and tour, they're the people that we're going to want to let know that we're in their town. And if you've got a bunch of bots or fake followers that you bought just to make your ego feel kind of good, when your message goes out there, it's going to be falling on deaf ears. So you really want to make sure that the people that are following you are real and able to vote with their dollars as to whether they want to support you or not.
Right. Absolutely. Bots don't buy shirts.
Not only do bots not buy shirts, but the way the algorithm works, and I'm not going to get all geeky and boring, but when you put something up on social media like Facebook or Instagram, it doesn't go out to all your followers. Like I've got 50,000 followers. When I post something, it doesn't go to all 50,000. It goes to a very small percentage of them. And then if they engage with it, it goes a little wider. And if the engagement's good, it goes a little wider. And if the engagement's really good, then it goes on to the discovery page, the front page, right? But you have to remember that social media was set up not so that we could post cool pictures of our breakfast. It was set up to make money for Instagram and Facebook and whoever. So they're looking for you to promote your posts. So their goal is not to have all 50,000 of my followers see me post a rest in peace to Andre Harrell. Their goal is to give it to a few, and then if people engage, give it to a few more. If I have bots, then my engagement is even less than what Instagram and Facebook are allowing. So I'm fucked in the gate if I'm not able to reach a good portion of real people, because there won't be any engagement and my post will just die.
Right. And there's a guy I love called Andy Cernovitz. He was involved with word of mouth marketing, and I love this phrase.
Word of mouth is our goal.
He said, "Advertising is the cost of being boring." Bam.
Wow.
Like right before, yeah. Before, right, and you know, when we did the bags a week ago, when people knew we're giving money to different causes and you could get these bags, you know, and then I put individual addressed signed notes in surprise notes and candy and all these bags to everyone. People just spread that shit. They love that shit. And if you can find that virality, oh God, what did I just use that word? If you can find that, people will do that. If you find that, people will do it. If something isn't worth sharing, it's not worth sharing.
And that's the goal. Like we want shareability. In a perfect world, we don't want to pay money to get people to look at us as artists. We want to put something out that's so unique or so different or so weird or so extreme, whether negative or positive, that it incites people to get passionate and share it with their friends. Yeah. And I try to remember that whenever my clients are shooting videos, because that's really the best place for that to happen. People love sharing videos and photos. It's just intrinsic. So if you can make a video that isn't the typical standard boring video, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can just be really creative and have people be like, wow, I'm so blown away by that I want to show my circle of friends, hey, look what I just found. Isn't this great?
Okay, question number 2. And I don't have the names on these. If Rebecca or Emily is online and they can go, that question is from this person, please throw it in the thing. You often say draw a 3 to 5 mile radius around the city and do a promo tour there. My question is, when I get to these cities, where do I go and what do I do? How do I know where people are going to be?
Absolutely. What a great question. Yeah. And it's a 3 to 5 hour driving radius, not a 3 to 5 mile driving radius. Yeah. So let me preface it by saying that you start with a map and then you figure out your target area by drawing a giant circle so that you can drive 5 hours in any direction. That way you can at least have a handle on your target market, because even if you have to drive from the furthest point to the right to the furthest point to the left, it's only a 10-hour drive, and you can do that technically relatively easily. If you had to perform in one market on a Friday night and the next market on a Saturday night, you could technically do that. It's not like you have to get on a plane and fly from Miami to Seattle, which is a problem, right? It becomes very expensive to do that. So when you get to this town, and you can't do this right now, Martin, because of the shelter in place, but once that's lifted and you're able to move around again, you want to be able to go to the places in each town that where large amounts of people gather. So that could be like whatever is the hippest barbershop or the hippest hair salon, depending on whether you're targeting men or women. It could be the high school that has the most students. Or for me, I don't target high schools with the most students. I pull up the list of high schools that are doing poorly, the ones that have bad test results, because that seems to be the bulk of my market for rap. And that's not a negative statement. It just is what it is. So I tend to target the schools that are underperforming, and I pull up across the street. I usually in a van, I throw the back doors open, the music's playing loudly, and then we're giving away t-shirts or posters, and the artist is right there signing them with a Sharpie. We go to flea markets. We go to college campuses at lunchtime and dinner time. We go to whatever club is popping that night. And we film all of this, even if you've got somebody along that's filming it on an iPhone, just so that you can document this as content and put it up on your social media. So two things happen when you do this, right? So let's say I'm in Macon, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes south of Atlanta, and it's as small as you're thinking that it is. And we're doing all of these things and we're putting it on my Instagram. So now two things are happening, and pretend I'm a rapper, right? I can't rap a lick, but just pretend with me for 2 minutes. So people outside of Macon are seeing me do all this cool shit, and they're like, wow, Wendy's on tour. And I'm posting it on my Instagram as Wendy's COVID Challenge Tour. So they're seeing me go to these different locations in Macon, and it's impacting them because they're like, oh, Wendy's working. Wendy's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Wendy's building fans, her numbers are going up. And then the folks that are local to this region are looking at it going, oh, wow, Wendy's at the barbecue shop that I go to. Wendy's at the barber shop where I get my hair cut. Wendy's at the university campus where I went to school. Wendy's at the high school that my best friend goes to. And it becomes personal. And they see that I'm actually going to places that matter. And I'm taking pictures with, if I'm going to a hip hop gear shop, I'm taking pictures with the staff or the owner so that people can really see, wow, she's really there. She's talking to the guy that I buy my t-shirts from. She's talking to the guy where I buy all my blunt wraps. She's talking to the guy that lines up my hair. And when I say guy, I don't mean male. I mean male, female, whatever gender you do or don't represent. But all that to say is it becomes very real, and it's something that people can really attach to, whether they're from that city or not. And if I'm doing that every day and I'm in a different city every day, it's the fact that I'm on tour and people are sharing that experience along with me. I did this when I went out on the Pigface tour. And even though I knew that the bulk of my 50,000 followers wouldn't know who the fuck Pigface is, they knew that I was out on tour. They saw us parking the buses. They heard the stories of us leaving people behind at a rest stop and having to make a U-turn and go back and pick them up. They heard about the fact that I was sleeping in a bunk and I felt like it was a fucking coffin because I'm a big girl. They got to experience everything that I was experiencing in real time right along with me. And that's what you do when you go in that 3 to 5 hour driving radius.
And what that is, as you're describing all of this, if you're listening and you have aspirations and you're choosing music for the easy life, you are so fucked.
You're so fucked. Just your social media is a full-time job. And then on top of that, you've got to market and promote. You've got to interact with your fans. You can never be negative. You can never have a bad day. You can never be unhappy. You can't be in the middle of a fight with your significant other when somebody walks up to ask for an autograph. You have to be like, oh, yes, hi, thanks for coming up. And then you've got to make music, and you've got to make good music that can sell. You're fucked.
Yeah. But the good news is the things that you talk about, I think some artists, they're like, is this the one single that will get me to the top of the charts? And it's not about that. If you do 10 things, meet 10 people, 5 years into this, you'll be huge out of nowhere. because you've just built this
Yes.
huge thing brick by brick by
Yes.
brick. It's really simple and slightly intimidating. And if you're allergic to hard work,
This is not for
horrifying.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And Martin, you said 5 years. My clients do this in anywhere from 12 to 24 months. Like 18 months is the average till my clients can really support themselves. But I've also got to preface this by saying it's not free. Like, this is a very expensive industry. If you're looking to start a company without having to invest any money, you can't do it. Like, music is not it. There's just better places to make money if you don't already have some money.
right. Make a lot of friends in every town, says Doug. Okay, well,
Yes, great advice.
I'm doing just a terrible job. I'm loving this, by the way. I'm really loving this. I'm on question 3. Okay, I'll try and scan down a little bit. Um, uh, it appears you have a smaller artist try and create a buzz in a marketplace first, consisting of 2 to 7 states. Is that based on their style of music, which region likes the sound, or on where they live, makes local support and touring cheaper? Would you elaborate on how you choose that marketplace and how to attack it?
Yes, I'm going to answer that 2 ways, because what you're really asking is what you should do, not what I do. So what you should do is, if the sound of the music that you're making is being embraced by people around you, you should start in your area. If you live in New York City, then that was just really bad advice, because it's so expensive to market and promote to New York City that you're going to have to go out and around New York first and then come back into the nucleus. So you're going to want to hit Boston. You're going to want to hit cities in Connecticut. You're going to want to hit Philadelphia. You're going to want to hit Pittsburgh. You're going to want to kind of go around New York City. What I do is I do a bunch of research. I look at artists that have a similar sound to the artist that I'm about to work, and I actually buy research that tells me what their target market is so that I can get a really good feel. If the artist is, and this is only something that experience can tell you, so don't sit there and kick yourself because you don't know this, but if I have an artist that makes very pop radio friendly music, I'm going to start them in the Southeast because that's the easiest place to garner radio play. And I only know that from experience.
I've got to draw attention to this. I love Shannon Curtis wrote a book. Oh my God, what's it called? No bouncer, no bartender. Molly, what do you know what that book is? Yeah, Molly's going to Google it.
Beautiful.
And she does house concerts, and it's the same idea. I know she did 8 house concerts on a run around Seattle, Washington. And
yeah, no booker, no bouncer, no bartender.
No booker, no bouncer, no bartender.
Beautiful.
So she did 8 of these house shows. They didn't conflict with each other. She didn't have that clause, non-compete clause, radius clause. She did 8 house concerts to 10 to 50 or 60 people in each one, and made friends with everybody. Of course, you have to at a house concert. Then she went back and sold out a small theater, bringing all of the people from those 8 places
So
together.
smart.
And when you take baby steps without sounding like that movie with Robert De Niro in it, whatever that was, when you take baby steps, if you make a misstep, it's only a little step back.
Right.
It's not a calamitous fall from some badly constructed scaffolding to,
I've seen artists rent out warehouses and Airbnbs, and I certainly don't recommend Airbnbs because you could destroy somebody's house. But I've seen artists do house parties, even during COVID, which I don't necessarily recommend because it's not safe. But there's a lot of younger people that feel that they'll never catch COVID because it's an old person's disease. So they've been doing house parties, and you can make money doing that provided you don't price yourself out of availability. And another thing that you can do is you can find the hottest artist in those different markets where you have now said, okay, these are my target markets, and you can do collaborations with them by sending the tracks back and forth. You don't have to be there in person. You can record verses in your home or your home studio or your local studio, and then send it to whoever the hottest up and coming artist is in those in different areas. And then you're working the track in the song in your area, they're working the song in their area, and you're getting double the exposure, you know. And you could do that in 20 different areas with 20 different songs, and you could call it the COVID compilation. There's just so many ways that you can expand yourself without ever having to leave your house or go outside of your house.
Right. I just want to, there's a couple of comments in the chat. A couple of people can't get in to the meeting. I don't know if there's students on that. I wanted to ask you this as well, Wendy. You might, I don't know what your philosophy is on this idea. I see so many artists, they're in the first year, maybe 2 years, and they have an economic argument for why they need to get $500 for a show or $1,000. And I just say, chill out. Get 3 jobs if you can find them, and accumulate some money. So when somebody offers you the right gig at the right venue for the wrong money, you take it and you kill it. You think you should be headlining, but you're opening. Just kill it. Shut your mouth and kill it, because then the power is yours. The club owner, they're not idiots. They're smart people. Hold on a minute. Everybody likes this first band. Let's bring them back. But you've got to get through the door and show people that, and mobilize your audience to then have that leverage to get paid what you're worth. I think so many artists that I see are so worried about playing for too little that they play for too much, and they do price themselves out of an opportunity.
I agree. I think that you know, my philosophy has always been crawl, walk, run. So there's a lot of people in my world that feel like they should be getting paid $1,500 or $3,000 a show when they can't even get 10 people to come to the club to hear them. So that's kind of a different issue.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of people that are willing to perform for free or nearly free to kill it so that they can have a second opportunity. And I go through this like with my clients that are sort of like at that mid-level, because you might be popping in Atlanta and you might be able to get $5,000 a show, but in Memphis, they're not willing to pay for a show because they don't really know who you are. And I have artists that will tell me, well, no, I don't want to go perform for free or less money in Memphis when I could spend my time here in this city getting $3,000 or $5,000. And my philosophy is, well, if you would just go perform at a reduced rate or even free in Memphis, you're going to have access to another 100,000 people in that area that have now heard of you and are going to go on to Spotify or SoundCloud or YouTube and be like, oh, let me see who this is. And you could bring in thousands of new fans. You may not make the same amount of money, but you're going to have new fans that will pay you down the road. So you've got to be able to balance free and paid at every juncture of your career.
And it's also your job to take the fans you do have in your hometown on a journey. And if it's we're back down the club on Friday, that's not really an experience. You need to be like, oh my goodness, we're going to Tokyo. And you know, there might only be 5 people at your concert in Tokyo, but everybody back home is like, oh my goodness, we have to have a welcome home party, you know, and you get your band's logo with some Japanese writing on it, and you're so much cooler.
Even get people in the areas where you've already got the fan base, get them to come out on a Tuesday night, like maybe it's Toss Up Tuesdays or Side Chick Sunday, like get people to come out on nights other than a Friday or Saturday.
What's
When
Side Chick Sunday?
Side Chick Sunday is where you bring your side chick and you leave your main chick at home.
Oh,
But anyway.
yeah, I know exactly what that is. And now we know the sign language for Side Chick
Yes,
Sunday.
we do. So do something out of the ordinary, like save Friday and Saturday nights for new markets, and maybe take a little bit less money to do a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. Get people to come out, and now you're expanding your schedule. So you're getting paid for every night of the week instead of just Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And don't be afraid, like if you're booked, let's say you're booked in Memphis on a Saturday night, don't be afraid to call the promoters in Jackson, Mississippi and try to offer them a deal for Friday night or Sunday night, so that when you're going out to a new market, you're hitting the markets in that area. You could go out for 4 or 5 dates for a chunk of money instead of just one night in one city.
Right. And we were talking about screen printing earlier, and how you can create so much value by doing that. If you wanted to set up one screen and make some very poorly executed Halloween shirts, for instance, you can tell a promoter, hey, we've got 100 shirts. It's $20 to get in, but the first 100 people get a free shirt.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And it just costs you $200 now the promoter is like, let's work with these people. They
yes.
Get it. You can incentivize them.
And your fans are wearing a billboard to you. So they're going to wear that shirt for the next 6 months or 6 years or however long it lasts.
Yeah.
Martin, I just thought of something that I'd like to share that's going to make like attending my little session worth it just in one thought.
Okay.
And I'm dropping a lot of jewels here, so I'm not downplaying what I'm saying, but reach out to somebody that works at Spotify, like make friends with somebody at Spotify, because one of the things that they're willing to do if you give them a 6 to 8 week notice and you've got an inside of the company is they will tell you who your top streaming fans are. So let's say you're doing a show in Macon. I keep picking on Macon, but forgive me. Let's say you're doing a show in Macon. Your connection at Spotify can give you a list of the top 10, 20, 30 people that are streaming your music on Spotify. These are your real fans. This is not like a radio station giveaway where it's the top 10 people that got through. These are the people that ride and die with you. These are the people that love your music. They will give you their email addresses so that you can reach out to them and invite them to a meet and greet. So you might be doing sound check at 4 o'clock. Why not have those 20 or 30 people come through to meet you? They're going to be coming to your show anyway because they're your biggest fans, but why not like order some wings or some pizza and feed them and let them have a meet and greet with you and let them get to know who you are. They're the people that are going to buy VIP packages the next time you come through because they're going to remember that really cool experience. And you want to know who your biggest fans are. You want access to them. You want to add their email addresses to your newsletter, your email list. You want to be interacting with them, engaging with them directly.
It's weird. I started really doing that in 2016. We did 2 shows with Pigface we hadn't played in a decade. And there's a program called Z Maps, Z-E-E-E, a bunch of E's, maps. How many E's, Molly? Molly says 2 E's. And you can take zip codes and put them on a map. And then everybody who bought a ticket, if they're buying tickets directly from you, is a dot on the map. And I thought, oh, this will be fun. This is more fun than me saying, we're playing, please come. And I see the map. I'm like, holy crap. People are coming from everywhere. And then it dawned on me, well, it was a Thanksgiving show. If people are coming, they're coming in the day before. They're coming Thanksgiving Day for the Friday show. We should invite everybody to rehearsals.
Yes.
And if we're going to invite them to rehearsals at Reggie's Rock Club in Chicago, they have great wings and macaroni. I'm like, could you do like a Thanksgiving thing? And because we had everybody's information, I was able to email everybody and say, look, I can't buy you Thanksgiving dinner. This thing is fucking me. But we can provide it for you for like $11 a head. And come and join us. And
yes,
I think people will still be talking about that 10 years
Yes.
from now. I mean, I was standing in the dinner line with two people from Vegas, and I'm like, "Oh, you came together?" Like, no. So people from the
Wow.
same city were meeting them, and um, and it's easy to delight people. I think people thought we were going to be terrible rehearsing, and it was actually a full dress rehearsal show, and we kind of nailed it. And people were just delighted. Hey, I just have to say a couple of things. Sorry, Wendy. Hey, Alexander, if you drop any more C bombs in the chat, I'll drive to your house, dude. That's not happening. Okay. That's that. And I see Galen Lee is online. So that's all right, Alexander. I use that word a lot, just not in a chat.
It's actually my favorite
Um,
word.
it's one of mine as well. It means so many things. In it. You say it to a little child, "Come here, you little." It's a term of endearment as well, but just not in the chat.
I see somebody's asking about how often to place Google ads, and we place Google ads constantly. We set up a budget, so we decide ahead of time, do we want to spend $30 a day, $5 a day, $300 a day? We figure out what our budget is, and then we place them. And I hire somebody to do this. I don't do it myself, but I'm going to tell you that I have gone through all of Google's free online information. I wanted to learn how to do it so that when I hired folks to do it, I would know if they were delivering or not. And I would be able to speak the language to them so that when they told me about A/B testing, I would know what that was. When they talked about price per click, I knew what that was. So I recommend that you learn how to do it. But then if you're going to take this route, if you're not a pro at it, definitely bring on somebody that's affordable who is, because you can lose a lot of money advertising to people that aren't your market. You got to really understand this.
I mean, here we are, right? A/B testing. Like, what the fuck? Right? And it's beautiful. Basically, you put a couple of, it's all about your subject line. And I
And your
think
picture.
MailChimp will automatically for you. Do I say, Wendy Day, come and chat, or rap, whatever, free pop? I don't know. And if you don't know which subject line to use, you can tell MailChimp, I've got 25,000 people on my mailing list, test this with 3,000 people and use the most effective one for the other 22,000. It's stunning. There are people, as Wendy says, there are people doing amazing stuff with marketing, just like the guy you want programming your beats or running the lights. There's amazing people.
Martin, I see somebody else asked, is there such a thing as too much content? And yes, you can burn out and oversaturate. Yeah. The thing about content is it's more about consistency. So I always make sure that I have a schedule. So for me, it would be like maybe Wild Out Wednesdays or Sappy Sundays. I would have different content that I post at a certain time on a certain day of the week, or even if it's once a month, like whatever I'm doing, I want to make sure it's the consistency that I'm focusing on. And I also try not to be too promotion-y. So I do a 70-30 ratio, so that out of 10 of my posts, 3 of them might be promoting something and 7 of them are just pure content where you're learning more about me and seeing behind the scenes what I'm doing and what I'm thinking. I hope that answered it.
Well, there's a couple of things here. First off, I think we could go for 3 hours. I mean, we obviously can't. So I have a few questions. One, can students make sure that I've seen a bunch of things in the chat. Can we talk later? How do I get a hold
Absolutely.
of you?
My email address is thisiswendyday@gmail.com. It's the most effective way to interact with me. a smart boo would probably wait a couple of days because they could think that, wow, everybody sitting in the chat room right now is typing into their phone, this is wendyday@gmail.com. Hi, Wendy, I need this from you. So I might try to spread it out a little bit, but I'm really great at email. I suck at returning phone calls because they're too time consuming, and I do this for a living. So I have clients that I have to please. But if you email me, I do respond to everybody. It may take me a day or two, but I do respond. You can also follow me on Instagram at Rap Coalition, and you can talk to me there. Don't DM me. I get too many DMs, and my experience is that people are DMing me are asking for shit that I'm not willing to give them. So talk to me in the feed, express yourself, interact with me. It may take me a day or two to see it, but I go through all of my posts and I try to be as interactive and engaging as I can be.
So, can I ask you if you would do this again at some point?
Sure. Want me back 10 minutes from now? Sure.
Yeah. It's just I feel like there's just so many questions and people who need so much help. I've seen people on the chat saying it took me years to realize the things that we said in the first 15
well,
minutes.
let me give them a place they can go Monday.
Okay.
I mean, certainly attend all these episodes here, but 2 days from now, when there are no webinars for Martin, go to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/thisiswendyday. And there are over 100 free videos there of stuff where I'm talking about how I do what I do, and it's all free. Like the information there, it's there for you. There's, there's probably over 200 videos by now. I put up 60 of them just in January and February.
Wow. So I'm just looking at Nicholas Vallejo. The best way to get a job as a label as an A&R person is to find and develop an artist. I know why.
Yes and no. Understand that the label A&Rs, at least in urban music, are all looking at stats. So they're looking at Chartmetric, they're looking at sound charts. They want to see real numbers. They want to see what you're doing in different areas. So if you're going to find and develop talent on your own, help them make money. If your goal is to get a deal, that's wonderful, but you can make more money finding and developing talent and helping people get ahead on your own than you can working for Def Jam or Sony. A&R is the most coveted position, and it's really a numbers game now. And most labels, they hire interns, and you've got to be a college student to be an intern, and you've got to be willing to work for free. And when I say work, I mean like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then that's where they go to bring people into their fold, because now they understand that corporate culture. And it's more about the numbers in the corporate culture than it is about finding talent.
And I think that for a band that wants to get signed or somebody who wants to work at a label, I think the trick is to not need the gig.
Absolutely.
If you need to be signed, you're fucked. It's when you're running your own business that you're actually way more attractive to the people who those people aren't going to solve your basic business problem. You have to solve those yourself. Once you solve them and start to grow, then all of these other entities can help you grow.
Martin, I think there's a lot of confusion in the music industry that talent is hard to find, and it's not. Labels don't need you to find them talent. They need you to find them ways to make money. It's really a business, and it's all about the money. So if you want to become important to a label, find a way for them to make millions of dollars and hand it to them for free, because that's really what they want.
I like to say you don't get what you think you deserve. You get what you gouge, There's a question here from Chia Huff that I want to, just because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I just want to read this. Wendy, I'm hearing you're saying, I'm looking at the success of cloud rappers, emo, sad kid bass music, and how much that brand is being really and truly authentic. including sharing when you're having a bad day and building a brand around inclusivity and acceptance of mental health struggles. What are your thoughts on this?
We have such issues with mental health in my world, in the rap world. And you know, it's a product of the environment of these times. You know, I noticed it for the past 4 years, not to make any statement politically, but I've noticed that there's just an uptick in the number of people of color that are struggling and being shot by cops and being, you know, murdered by, you know, people that look like me. And it's really, really, really a problem. And the music is starting to reflect this. And the music is going to continue to reflect this until society makes some changes. Emo rap is at an all-time high. Drug rap is at an all-time high. It's a severe problem. I'm handling it within my circle as best I can by pulling artists aside and interacting with them one-on-one. I don't think calling anybody out publicly is the way to do it. I don't believe in shaming people. I don't think that helps anything except increase stress and shame. So I can't speak for how we as a community should handle it, but I can say that it needs to be handled. I hear people talking about mumble rap. Mumble rap is 100% attributable to opioids. It's the way people feel when they're high. So if we don't fix that problem, it's going to continue to be a problem. I don't have the answers. I don't know how to fix it, but I can tell you that in my world, on a one-to-one basis, I'm solving problems in my immediate circle. And if we all do that, we can fix the world.
Well said. Well said. I pulled up Juice WRLD lyrics in class 6 months ago. I'm like, well, how is this a mystery to anybody?
Right. It's not.
Right.
And we lose way too many people in rap to drugs and violence. Way
Right.
too many.
Well, I think we've come to the end of this, Wendy. Like getting comfortable and gone for another hour. Where can people get your book?
At Amazon, and it's about how to get a record deal. I'm writing one right now about how to make money with your music so that you can learn to put it out yourself, because really, to get any kind of record deal that matters, you need to be able to show the labels that you're going to make them a shit ton of money. So why not just make a shit ton of money and keep it for yourself? That's my philosophy.
Yeah. Once you do the math, you know, you can see, wow, every time we go back to Nashville or Baltimore or Tokyo or wherever, we're growing our base, we're selling stuff, we're coming up with more shirts, we're doing this, we're doing that. You're finding other revenue streams. It's like, well, why would you sign that away? And that's a great negotiating tool to say to a label, why would we even
want to do this? Exactly.
Yeah, you just made 300K on this. And then the label has to say, well, here's a reason. Do you want to work with this producer? We can get you. We'll do this. And you win, you know?
Exactly. And it's a win-win, because then everybody's happy. You're making money. They're making money. Everybody's happy.
Well, I'm not going to cry today. but
I love you so much.
I love you so much. It's so great to see you and chat and know that all the way down, not just the stuff you do on the surface, but the stuff that you think. I love everything that you're about.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for doing this. It's, you know, I know that it's not profitable what you're doing, and I just love that you're sharing this information and this knowledge so that everybody can be successful. I love you to death. Anything you need, I'm here for you. Always.
Thanks, Wendy.
Love you, Martin.
So are there links for people in the, there's a link for your book, Amazon link for your book right there.
Yeah, links in the chat. She got an invite from the Dean of the School of Fine Arts to come to Milliken.
So what's happened?
Laura Ledford said, "Come to Milliken, Wendy."
Happily,
There you go.
Please.
as soon as I can get on a plane.
Oh, and
I haven't left my house in 8 weeks, and I'm probably not going to.
well, I'm going to petition when you do visit that we'll have a little blue plaque in the car park that says, "On this spot in October 2019, Wendy Day made Martin Atkins cry."
I love you.
Is it gonna give away?
Oh, what are we going to give away?
We can give away whatever the fuck you want.
Well, so you have a great chapter in Band
I
Smart,
do.
Wendy. Why don't we randomly give away 4 or 5 copies of the physical book? You can go to martinatkins.com and download it for free, but why don't we just give away anybody who wants that, type in some information in the chat. Like
I think we've already picked it.
okay.
Yeah.
So fine. What I'm going to do is try and put a video on because I need to pee. Now I need to see the sign language for pee.
Oh,
What is that?
it's a P.
That's porn right there.
It is it's a T for toilet, and it's just a shaky T. Yep.
But
I love it.
It makes it seem like you're saying he's going to pee. He has a tiny penis. That's what that looked like.
Only you would think that.
No, I'm just projecting. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to put a video on Go Pee. When we come back, I see Galen Lee is here. We'll come back in just a few minutes, and we'll be talking with Galen Lee.
Martin,
Thanks,
I'm going to go into the chat room for a while and just answer some questions because I really sucked at watching and talking.
So in the chat room, chat with